game. Are they? Are because some people have really, really bad things to say about remote workers, and some people love remote workers. Some people love working remotely, and some people hate working remotely, right? It just depends. But I saw this article. This article says that facing stiff competition, remote workers up their game. I'm curious to see how it is they're saying that they do that. I'm gonna get rid of this advertisement down here because it is driving me crazy. Let's get rid of that right there. Get rid of that. All right. So, um, I got rid of the wrong thing. Apparently, let me refresh this. I got rid of the wrong thing. Let's go. Whatever. Let's go with that. So, anyways, since facing stiff competition, remote workers up their game. It says that when Kate Smith. Could you come up with a name that's more generic than Kate Smith? When Kate, I don't even know if that's a real person, right? When Kate Smith worked a 9 to 5 job, she was burned out, suffering from daily migraines and thinking I can't do this for the rest of my life.
Bruh.
She didn't have to. For her next role, Smith landed a remote full-time marketing job that enabled her to travel the world. They just want to have fun. They just want to travel. Some people just want to travel. Her laptop lifestyle took her to Bali, where she lived and worked for a year and a half. Every day, I was riding my scooter through the rice fields and thinking, I love my life. This is amazing, she said, and that feeling never fades. I feel so grateful for the freedom and the flexibility. While Smith, 36, has worked remotely for more than a decade, the trend of ditching traditional office spaces to work from living rooms and beachfront shacks accelerated in 2020 when the coronavirus hit and workers could began performing their jobs from home. Little do you know, right? Companies were like, you know what? Get your back to the office. Many people grew accustomed to the lifestyle change once they tasted the freedom and flexibility of a home office of freedom and flexibility a home office afforded. Working parents enjoyed meeting children at the school bus. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Others found more time for exercise, socializing, and basking in nature once their jobs did not include long commutes. I agree with that. Those commutes to work are long. If it's yeah, those commutes, oh my god, like 45 minutes to get for a 15-minute drive, that's annoying. But after the pandemic subsided, I didn't put the 5 minutes, right? Let's put the 5 minutes. But after the pandemic subsided, many large companies began calling employees back into the office, creating a fierce competition for jobs that could be done from anywhere. And here's what happened, right? I saw this happen firsthand. A bunch of people, once they started working remotely, they went and bought homes in remote, far out areas that there would be like if companies required you to return to office, or if you my bigger fear was if you lose your job and now you're trying to find a job remotely and companies aren't really hiring remotely and you're in the middle of nowhere, so you can't just travel to get to a job that's close by, then you would be screwed. So that's why I stayed myself put in happy South Florida, that I can quickly pivot to a hub, like because we have Boca, we have Fort Lauderdale. In worst case scenario, we have Miami where we can get some tech jobs. So I was like, I'm staying where I'm at because I want to make sure that I am easily accessible and not put myself in the hole. All right. So it says many positions advertised as remote attracted hundreds, if not more than 1,000 of applications. Experts said, "Yep, that was what happened." If you'd go on LinkedIn, right? Unless it's like a major city, you're gonna see a job like you're gonna see the in-person jobs that they're gonna have like less than 100, maybe 200 at the most. Same for hybrid, but if a job was advertised as remote, it would be thousands of people. It was crazy. It was crazy, right? Fully remote is very rare now in the United States of the Americas, said Mark Ma, associate professor of business administration at the University of Pittsburgh. It is getting much more difficult, and you need to look for the smaller firms or medium sized firms. And those firms do not provide as competitive financial packages as the big firms, but they try to attract talent by providing more flexibility. So the choice is yours. Do you want to make more money and run it up?
Money.
Or are you willing to take less money for a smaller company, but you have more freedom and flexibility? You can work from anywhere in the world, you can travel, you can do all of that good stuff. That's the question. That is the question. Do you want more flexibility, or do you want to work from or do you want to make money, right? Depends. Depends. Says about 9% of paid US job postings on social networking platforms platform LinkedIn in July offered remote work, while those type of roles attracted 37% of the applications according to the company. Interesting. So 9% of postings are remote, 30% of people applying for those. Do we have a numbers problem? It always works out the same. They'll say that 80% of a certain population wants 20% of a certain population. 37% of applicants want 9% of the job postings, right? Below employers and people who haven't returned to an office offer. So below employers and people who haven't returned to an office offer advice on how to land remote jobs in a competitive climate. We shall see if that's the case. Let's see. The biggest concern for an employer hiring remote workers is ensuring they will do their work. Facts, said Carla Rover. I guess I have seen that. Founder of Strategy and Content, a startup that leverages artificial intelligence. I have approached people with a schedule saying, "This is how much I create each day. This is how much I've built in a period of time," said Rover, who mostly has worked remotely since 2010. Assembling a strong portfolio showcases what you can do while working outside in office. I would say this though, meeting, meeting, there's good things and there's bad things to both, right? Like, because sometimes you'll be waiting for a response and you're just waiting for hours because there's not much you can do. While in an office, you could probably just walk up to the person, but then there's so much distractions that are happening in the office too, and then you have to go out and eat with the people. Like it's just like so, I don't know. I would, if I had to choose, I would take remote, right? But it's tough. Like there are some really good things of working in office though. Not the commute. Definitely not the commute. It says time management and independence, being self-motivated are really critical. It says Tony Franca, Tony with a I. That would be a lady's name, right? Tony with a Y would be a guy's name, but Tony with an I, like Tony Braxton, right? Tony Franca, career expert at
Get a
FlexJobs,
move on. Back to work. Chop, chop. Let's go. Come on. Get a move on. Back to work. Back to work. Back to work.
a platform dedicated to helping people find remote work or flexible work. If you've worked remotely before, highlight that on your resume. List communication tools you've used, such as Slack or Microsoft Teams. I hate Microsoft Teams. Said Don Fay, operational president at staffing firm Robert Half International. I doubt mentioning that you use Slack and because guess what? People inside the company also use Slack and Microsoft, so I don't really see this as very helpful. Call out that you have worked remotely independently for X amount of time successfully. That'll be helpful. You really want to stress that. Stick with a role similar to your current job. That's true. After moving on from the office job that made her miserable. She, I'm telling you. Um, what was her name again? Was it Karen? What was her name again? It was Kate Smith. So Kate Smith was like this, right? So where are we? So Kate Smith was this was Kate Smith. She was like,
I hate it here. I want to go home.
I hear that. Says after moving on from the office job that made her miserable, Smith created a side hustle coaching other professionals who longed for a nomadic lifestyle. So she's coaching people who want to work from anywhere in the world. Interesting. Her coaching eventually grew into a full-time job. I wonder what her coaching consists of. That's interesting. I'm telling you, people can coach for anything. When looking to transition into remote work, find a job that's similar to your current role instead of competing with better qualified candidates for the job that require more experience, she advised. Get your foot in the door and then from there work your way to the long-term goal. Smith said, you can also try to convert your current job into a remote role. That's what Courtney Sandifer attempted after her husband, 60, had a heart attack and underwent cancer treatment within the same year. Geez, that is a lot. Uh, did the husband have the heart attack and undergo cancer treatment? That is a lot. That sucks. I hope he's better. He retired early and they bought a small property in Mexico near the beach, hoping to reduce stress. We just got tired of the rat race. I don't like rat races either. I don't like rats, so I definitely don't like rat races. And I've never actually seen rats actually racing. Huh, interesting. It says Sandifer, 44, loved her job working in video production in Houston, but she took a risk telling her employer that they were moving and she wanted to do her job remotely. The company agreed she could be a contractor, but no longer a staff member. She lost her benefits, a big financial hit. That means no 401k, no health insurance, no none of that. But it was worth it to be able to edit video by a pool and know she'll be able to visit her son in New Zealand, where he'll be attending college without taking much time off of work, she said. If you have kids, it is so much easier to be who you want to be with a remote job, Sandifer said. That's what came into focus for me. How will my family be the happiest and healthiest in the long term? It may not be the most lucrative, but you have to consider your own mental health. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I don't know. When I don't have my health insurance, when I don't have my money, when I don't have my 401k, that messes with my mental health. So that's just me. That is just me. Those things mess with my mental health. When I don't have my fast internet connection, when I don't have my large language models, those things mess with my mental health. Those are my mental health problems, right? It says where remote jobs are growing, where you live matters. Europe and Australia have been more remote than the United States, Ma said. There's a reason for that. Lawmakers in Victoria, Australia have said they plan to introduce legislation that would give workers the legal right to work from home 2 days a week. While that sounds lovely, I would vehemently oppose the US implementing that, right? Leave it up to the companies. Leave it up to the companies to figure out their own policies. Let it be a benefit, whatever the case may be. Do not implement laws, labor laws, whatever, because the more the government gets involved inside of the laws for like minimum wage, all that stuff, the worse it makes it for people to get hired, right? I like people always, oh, living wage, living wage, living wage. If I agree to work for $4 an hour, nobody should step in the way of that. That's let me not going off on that tangent, right? I will not go off on that tangent, but let me enter a contract. Let me enter a contract. All right. Anyways, dozens of countries, including Thailand, Italy, and Brazil, offer digital nomad visas, which allow foreigners with remote visas to stay and work for an extended period of time. Different industries and occupations are more conducive to the remote work scene. In the United States, education, administrative, and social media positions are the fastest growing full-time remote jobs. Education, that's interesting. While nursing, telehealth, and licensed therapists are among the top titles for part-time remote work. Nursing? Interesting. According to the Frana at Flex Jobs. Smith said she sees opportunities to find remote jobs in marketing, product management, sales, human resources, talent acquisition, software development, engineering, customer support, data analysis, and financial services. However, read the fine print. PJ Rishak, 54, has been looking for remote work in web design, writing, and editing since he was downsized from a full-time job 2 years ago. He lives outside of Cincinnati, Ohio, and wants to avoid commuting to be able to work from home when his 9-year-old daughter is sick. So remember I was telling you, right? People will be living, they'll get a place that is like semi-rural, and now they don't want to commute a long way to get to work, and they're like, oh, well, what do I do? What do I do? But often when he finds jobs as advertised as remote, he reads further into the description to learn the employee wants candidates to live in a particular city or available to work in the office several days per week. It's definitely frustrating. Rushak said, "It almost feels like a waste of time." Search aggressively. Search aggressively. You gotta like when you say aggressive, you gotta say aggressively, right? That's how you gotta say it, right? For Francesca Conti, an investor who works in a venture capital, working remotely from London for a Swiss company has allowed her to travel internationally and visit extended family in the United States of America. Just do me a favor, do not overstay your visa when you visit the United States of America. That's all, right? It says the opportunities are out there, but they're very few and far between, she said. Conti recommends attending industry or alumni events to meet contacts that can help in the search. Even though you want a remote opportunity, those relationships need to be made in person. They cannot be made remotely, Conti said. Remote opportunities are very unique in nature, so just be even more aggressive in the search and understand that it might take a little bit more time, but my experience has been highly worth it if you have the skills. If you have the skills, right? But that is the article. You gotta step up your game if you want the opportunity to work remotely. But a lot of companies are cutting down on it. So it is what it is. It is what it is.
They scream their pain through broken glass. Their tears fall slow but never last. A million voices, a fractured sky. Who picks the ones for whom we cry?
They wave their flags and cry their tears, but who's to say what pain appears? 1,000 voices scream and plead, but who decides which ones we heed? They paint their wounds in neon light, a spectacle, a stage invite, but shadows lurk where no one sees. The silence screams in whispered pleas.
Tell you where to stand, whose heart to hold, whose trembling hand. But pain is pain, no rank, no throne. Empathy is not something you own.
They paint the world in black and white, a battle stage for wrong and right. But every shadow hides a scar, each story different, near or far.
Who chooses who your heart should chase? Who tells you which pain gets a face? Compassion's chains, they pull you near, but who decides what grief to hear? They try to tell you where to stand, whose heart to hold, whose trembling hand. But pain is pain, no rank, no throne. Empathy's not something you own. Who pulls the strings, who sets the stage, who feeds the fire, who sparks the rage? Your heart's not theirs to break or bind. Compassion's free, it's yours to find. They try to tell you where to stand, whose heart to hold, whose trembling hand.